What really happened on Jungkook and Jimin's last night as active soldiers? Why was the whole room suddenly silent? And why were millions of soldiers crying because of just one simple sentence from Jungkook? It wasn't just an ordinary night. Inside a Division 5 military dormitory, two big names in South Korea's entertainment scene, Jungkook and Park Jimin, stand amid dozens of their fellow soldiers, no longer as world stars, but as brothers in arms. A quiet atmosphere enveloped the room, not because of fear or tension, but because of a breakup that is too heavy to put into words. Jungkook, who had been known for his steadfastness and unfading smile, stood up with a trembling voice, holding back emotions that had been suppressed for too long. "I didn't expect to be sad like this," Jungkook said, greeted by understanding looks from his colleagues. "You are the brothers I never thought I would have here." The sentence touched the silence, like lightning struck silence. Not long after, Jimin, known in the unit as a pacifier and unifier of the group, just stared at her, then hugged her in silence. At that moment, the whole room knew this is not just the end of the term. It's a farewell to a chapter that reshaped the lives of two world icons. An internal military source said that the evening was held a simple farewell, which became the stage for an explosion of uncontrollable emotions. The soldiers, who were usually stiff and firm, this time let their tears fall. One of them said, "We didn't see Jungkook and Jimin as superstars that night. They are our brothers." And their departure, it's like losing a part of yourself. When that moment leaked to the outside world, the global response was unstoppable. Army around the world flooded social media with messages of support and grief. Weverse was flooded with comments in multiple languages. But what hit the emotions of millions of fans the most was one photo upload from Jungkook. A photo of him in military uniform, standing with his back to the camera, with a short caption, "We learned a lot. Now it's time to go home." That sentence, as simple as it is, brings tears to many people's eyes. Jimin did not remain silent. In a message on Weverse, he wrote, "Thank you for waiting for us. More than warriors, we are now back as men who better understand the meaning of sacrifice and togetherness." Both are not trying to make dramatic statements. They only reveal the truth from the deepest depths of the heart. For the past 18 months, the two have endured a strenuous routine as active soldiers, early risers, extreme physical exercise, night patrols, and a variety of other military activities away from the glitter of the stage and the glare of the cameras. But unexpectedly, it was precisely in such places that they found other forms of stages of brotherhood, responsibility, and maturity. The 5th Division commander even paid his last respects in their discharge ceremony. "Jungkook and Jimin are not only idols from the outside," he said, "but also vivid examples of how discipline and integrity can live in anyone, regardless of status or fame." The speech was met with enthusiastic applause from the entire battalion. The last night they closed with a modest procession. One by one, the soldiers said their goodbyes. Some wrote messages on Jungkook's uniform, others hugged Jimin without a word. There are also those who just stand in the corner of the room, staring at the departure of two people who they once thought would only be a symbol, but in fact became brothers. But it is not only in the barracks that sadness is felt. Outside, a small group of fans and young warriors gathered silently. They knew the limits of military protocol, but couldn't help but look off into the distance. One of them carried a small poster that read, "Thank you for doing your duty for this country and for us." And when the official release day arrived, Jungkook and Jimin stood tall in the field, following their final ceremony. When the national flag was raised, the two looked straight ahead, their faces showing no expression. But their eyes are full of stories. The media cameras that were finally allowed to cover from a distance captured one of the most touching moments, when the two looked at each other, then hugged without a word. Everyone knows there is no need for speech to understand what they feel. The return of BTS' last two members from the military marks something much bigger than just an idol group reunion. It is a symbol of a time of transition, of a personal journey towards collective awakening. HYB herself has not yet given an official announcement, but several insiders mention that the agency has already prepared a massive comeback. There are whispers about a world tour, a new album, to an exclusive documentary series that will reveal the personal side of BTS during their military days. However, behind all the speculation, one thing remains clear. Jungkook and Jimin have changed. They are no longer just teen idols shining on stage. They are mature men who understand what it means to be part of something bigger than oneself. And the army who had waited, cried, supported, and remained loyal was now preparing to welcome them home. Their journey in the military is not the end. Rather, it is the beginning of a new chapter that will be stronger, deeper, and more electrifying for the world. Crying. Hugs. A touching parting word. The emotional night in Division 5 between Jungkook, Jimin, and his military comrades has touched the hearts of millions of people around the world. But let's pause and ask, did everything we read and watched really happen as depicted? Or is this just part of a narrative deliberately shaped to stir emotions, attract sympathy, or even create a viral moment? Social media has turned into the main stage of news these days. On TikTok, we see a snippet of a video that claims to be Jimin crying in a dorm room. On Twitter, we read a long thread about Jungkook's farewell speech called "Making the Soldiers Cry." On YouTube, a compilation video emerged that was said to have come from a trusted source within the military. But the question now is, how much of all this can be factually proven? We live in an era where narratives can be shaped in minutes and the public's emotions can be stirred by one short video snippet or one moving sentence. However, in this fast flow of information, are we still able to sort out which are facts and which are illusions? Let's review it. The information we gathered in the previous article came from various online platforms: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and several South Korean entertainment media. None of the information was officially confirmed by HYB Corporation or the South Korean military. There was no live broadcast of the farewell event, no direct statement from Jungkook or Jimin regarding the emotional moment. So, a fundamental question arises. Is it possible that we are being carried away in a narrative construction that is deliberately shaped to look dramatic? Some pop culture observers even refer to this phenomenon as a form of emotional branding, where a celebrity's personal experience is presented as a touching story to reinforce fan loyalty. Is this what's going on here? Did Jungkook's crying and Jimin's embrace really happen as depicted? Or was it part of an unseen scenario written to create a certain dramatic effect? Skepticism in this case does not mean doubting everything for no reason. In fact, skepticism is the last resort so that we do not become victims of false information. Why are we so quick to believe when our emotions are at play? Is it because we want to believe that our idols are ordinary human beings who can also cry and feel lost? Or is it because we have become so used to consuming moving narratives that the line between fact and fiction has blurred? This article was not created to corner any party. Quite the contrary, it is an open invitation to readers, especially ARMY and lovers of K-pop culture, to again question, are we witnessing reality or simply hypnotized by sensationalism? Let's go deeper. Jungkook's last post on Weverse, for example, was touching. But is the caption really meant to be a symbol of the grief of parting? Or is it just an ordinary statement read too deeply by the public? Isn't that kind of ambiguity often used in entertainment to keep attention? It should also be noted that moments like these usually go hand in hand with a comeback strategy. Some sources say that HYB is preparing a giant project for the return of BTS.